Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. We are following the latest election returns both nationally and here at home, and we'll continue to crawl the very latest results at the bottom of your screen as we tell you about other news happening in our area today. We'll start, though, with coverage of the elections here in the Southern Tier. Our Maggie Hall joins us with the latest. Maggie?
Residents of the Southern Tier poured into polling places today. These races have been heating up in New York. The Steuben County Board of Elections has been gearing up and was ready for today's rush to the polls. All of the ballot machines are carefully prepped to take people's votes.
We prep the machines, we get them tested, we do check every machine that goes out, make sure it pass pre-lat testing, and the machine is prepared for every scenario.
There are several positions on the ballot this November. The offices being voted for are governor and lieutenant governor, comptroller, attorney general, United States senator, state Supreme Court justice, representative in Congress, state senator, and member of assembly. Along with these positions, the position of coroner is being run for by former Corning Chief of Police Jeff Spaulding. The most prominent race in the Southern Tier is most likely the congressional one. The 23rd district seat was filled by Joe Zepolinski after August's special election. His Democrat opponent, Max Delapia, now vies again for the seat against GOP candidate Nick Langworthy. As of 11:30 this morning, over 10,000 people had cast their ballots in Steuben County alone. Later tonight, I will be in Buffalo, where both candidates for the congressional race have staked their election night headquarters. You can tune in tomorrow for that exclusive election night coverage. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Corning.
Cornell has temporarily suspended all fraternity parties and social events. The suspension comes after a reported sexual assault and numerous reports of female students having their drinks laced with drugs. The university stated all social events will resume once the school is confident they can happen safely. Ithaca Police also released a statement saying that they're investigating these incidents. 2 Corning parks may have contaminated soil. Big Fox's Josh Feldberg tells us what this means for the parks and for the city.
The city of Corning has 7 different parks that are free and open to the public. 2 of these parks will be investigated by the State Department of Environmental Conservation for soil contamination. The park's soil is said to be contaminated with glass, ash, and brick from the glass industry that has been a big part of the city for years. The level of these contaminants in the soil exceed the state standards, and the city is now required to clean it up. I'm in McKitty Park, one of the 2 parks with possible soil contamination. The park serves as a great place for parents to bring their kids to play and as a walking trail that many around here take advantage of. Following a city council meeting on Monday night, the state DEC will now lead an investigation into who is the responsible party for the contamination. The decision was made to have the DEC lead the investigation due to the city not having enough experience in the environmental industry. If the DEC remediates the property in order to fix the soil, the department will seek reimbursement from the responsible party. The city is unsure as to who will need to pick up the tab. According to city officials, there is no need for public concern. The city will be continuing to test the soil at other parks in Corning. There are plans to test the ground in Denison Park next. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Corning.
More people are considering store credit cards. LendingTree says 35% of consumers are considering applying for them. This in an effort to offset financial strain on their wallets during the upcoming holiday shopping season. LendingTree saying the data is fairly surprising, as store credit cards have mostly lost their popularity in the wake of the buy now, pay later phenomenon. Still, 37% of people who signed up for a store credit card in the past have regretted that decision. Wendy's is celebrating veterans with a deal they will not resist. On November 11th, Wendy's is giving all our veterans a free breakfast combo. To get this freebie, those who currently serve or have served before only need to show a Veterans Advantage card or a valid veteran ID at any location or at the drive-thru. The offer will be available from 6:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Now to the latest from Ukraine. The U.S. is insisting it's not pressuring Ukraine into peace talks with Russia, but the White House does admit it is keeping the lines of communication open. Alex Hogan has more from London.
As the fighting intensifies, the U.S. and Ukraine are working to get on the same page when it comes to peace talks with Russia. Ukraine's president pushing back strongly on reports the U.S. is pressuring his government into negotiating with Moscow, saying it's up to the West to, quote, force Russia into genuine peace negotiations, while also claiming there's no political rift between Kyiv and Washington.
All divisions are put aside. There is no place for political conflicts because when there is a mortal threat to freedom, everything else is not important.
The White House sending Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, on an unannounced visit to Ukraine on Tuesday, hoping to reaffirm America's relationship with the Zelensky government, while also reserving the right to push for peace talks as the war grinds on.
We have been careful to protect the timing and the content of the conversation so that we have the continuing ability to reach Russia and these lines of communication are not cut off.
Meanwhile, Russia is taking heavy losses as it makes a major play for Ukrainian towns and cities in the east. Soldiers there say the Russians are slowly being pushed back despite outnumbering the Ukrainians.
I'll help as long as I can and as long as this is Ukraine. If something bad were to happen, we'd all just leave together, but I'll be here until the very last moment.
Russia's defense ministry was forced to acknowledge the growing death toll among its soldiers, claiming that these numbers are being inflated by the West. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Tropical storm Nicole is threatening Florida's east coast with heavy rain and storm surge. And part of the region is still trying to recover from Hurricane Ian. Nicole Valdez has more.
Just weeks after Hurricane Ian tore through parts of southwest Florida, the state is now preparing for yet another storm.
Honestly, are you kidding me?
Forecasters say Storm Nicole could slam into the state's east coast later this week as a Category 1 hurricane. It's then expected to move across the Florida peninsula on Thursday before possibly making a second landfall on Friday. The National Weather Service says heavy rain, high winds, and storm surge remain Nicole's biggest threats.
We've really been looking at wave height, beach conditions, and then also the threat for heavy rainfall potential and increasing levels along the St. Johns River.
Millions of Floridians were under hurricane watches Tuesday morning. Residents have been out filling sandbags and shoring up drainage systems. On Monday, those vacationing here tried to get out on earlier flights.
My wife called the airport earlier and see if we could get a flight out maybe tomorrow instead of Wednesday when we're leaving, and don't look good. I don't know.
The conditions are also threatening the launch of the Artemis 1 rocket on November 14th. Hurricane Ian forced NASA to roll the rocket back into the garage, but for now, the agency plans to keep Artemis on the launch pad.
If they don't roll it back in time, it's going to sit out there, and then it's at the mercy of Mother Nature.
And forecasters say coastal flooding and rip currents could extend up towards North Carolina. In West Palm Beach, I'm Nicole Valdez, Fox Weather.
Your complete forecast is next, plus this.
Wildlife officials in Kenya say drought has killed an entire generation of elephants, as well as hundreds of zebras and wildebeest. I'm Marianne Rafferty with the shocking details coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, we have to get our reminders that winter is coming. As we've been dealing with really warm temperatures to start off November, we got our peak at more seasonable conditions today, as we're even seeing that overnight we're going to be a little below average as we're going to fall into the teens. We're also going to see that with the calm conditions, some fog development is possible. So make sure to bundle up, let that car warm up a little bit before you head out of the driveway, and bundle up the kids before they head to the bus stop. Also, with that reduced visibility, give yourself a few extra minutes on the roadways. Make sure to watch out for those kids waiting at the bus stop. Keep those headlights on, but we are dropping about 10 degrees below average with those morning lows. So frigid start to the day. Good news is we have some warming temperatures. Quick warm up. We're not going to get as warm as we were last week, but still having a chance to see that temperatures will return back into the 60s and bring us back above average. And that's going to be in place through about Friday. But Friday is going to turn rainy. There's going to be some thunder and flooding concerns. As what we're seeing is that we have a really dynamic system that's moving its way across the central portions of the United States, and that's going to merge up with some of the tropical moisture of Nicole. So that's going to bring expansive rainfall to the area. And we'll take a look at that here in a moment and time out that forecast. But note that there's also going to be that cold front sweeping through, and it's bringing below average temperatures not only just for the Northeast, but across much of the continental United States. Now, the good news is we'll see some sunshine with it, but still going to have some times of some isolated precipitation to watch for. So as we roll into our Wednesday forecast, though, plenty of sunshine. A little bit of that morning fog burns off, and then we see that the sunshine, as much as we have this year, as we have been losing it day by day, we still see some good warming, especially when you get that southerly wind bringing us into the 50s, so bringing us back about 5 to 10 degrees above that average that sits just around the lower 50s for this time of the year. Now, we don't only just stop at the 50s. We could climb back up to those 60s. We're even seeing a few isolated 70s there trying to pop up just off to the west. So warmth is in store. Pleasant conditions as well. So if you have some leaf pickup you need to do, maybe you want to put up some of those holiday decorations because it's going to be a bit cold as well as wet over the next few days to really be able to get out. Now, looking at that Friday forecast, that Veterans Day forecast, it's looking like the day will start off dry, but we quickly work in expansive rainfall. Now, temperatures still touch towards the 60s because that cold front passage won't occur until we head into that Saturday through Sunday forecast. So still a little bit of warming from that tropical system. But again, heavy rainfall could lead to flooding concerns, as the excessive rainfall outlook for Friday brings a slight risk for some flooding concerns all the way from North Carolina up through portions of even almost into Maine. So with that slight risk of flooding concerns, we'll keep an eye on some of those rainfall amounts. But 2 inches of rainfall possible for Elmira can't be ruled out, and most of that's going to come Friday night into Saturday morning. Now, we will stay under some isolated precipitation, even some wintry mix possible, as that low pressure system will slow down a bit as it tries to exit the northeast, but you'll see those temperatures day by day start to fall, and even by Tuesday we'll look at high temperatures to hold into the 30s, but we should see some returning sunshine as we step into that cold next week.
Small biz optimism dips. More Americans are getting side hustles to keep up with rising costs, and exercising your civic duty is a little sweeter this year. CJ Papa has those stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
Small business owners are feeling less optimistic this month. The National Federation of Independent Business says its Small Business Optimism Index declined in October. Both short-term expectations and the economic outlook were down. The group's chief economist says owners continue to show a dismal view about future sales growth and business conditions, though they are still looking to hire new workers. A total of 4.5 million cash-strapped Americans are turning to second jobs to supplement their income. This is a 6% increase compared to last year. Many of those Americans are taking on additional work to combat soaring inflation, with the holidays right around the corner. The October jobs report clocking in at 261,000 new jobs, marking the lowest growth since December 2020. Nintendo says its profits in the spring and summer rose 34% thanks to stronger sales of its Switch software. Nintendo is based in Japan, and it was helped by favorable exchange rates. Though the company says a shortage of semiconductors will cut into production of Switch consoles, so it has lowered its forecast for the devices this year. And Krispy Kreme is getting into the spirit of Election Day by giving out sweet treats. The chain is handing out one free glazed donut to customers today. All you have to do is stop by a participating Krispy Kreme location. The company says it's happy to celebrate voters and our democracy. That's business. I'm CJ Papa.
The summer travel bug is now into the fall as Americans still want to spend on travel. A Wall Street Journal report says Americans aren't letting go of travel and entertainment yet, despite inflation, and they're making up for lost time. Willingness to travel is adding to the bottom lines of airlines, hotel chains, cruise lines, and car rental companies. One hotel executive says COVID spending has shifted from home improvement to experiences. More flexible work arrangements are also allowing for more combined travel and work. Devastating drought is proving deadly for many of Africa's sacred and at-risk wildlife. Marianne Rafferty has a look at the impacts climate change is taking on elephants, zebras, and more.
Wildlife officials in Kenya entering crisis mode as the worst drought the African nation has faced in 40 years is responsible for the death of hundreds of animals.
This drought, in one word, is catastrophic.
According to a recent report from the Kenya Wildlife Service, over the last 9 months, the drought has wiped out an entire generation of elephants, claiming the lives of more than 200. This heartbreaking footage shows elephants mourning the loss of their young, as well as dangerously dehydrated animals struggling to stand. Nearly 400 common zebra and more than 500 wildebeest have also perished. Cattle that local communities rely on for their food are also dying off.
We are not only losing livestock, but we can also be losing people.
Data collected by the United Nations finds droughts have become nearly 30% more common around the world over the last 22 years.
We will have more episodes of drought, intensity, frequency, and we need to be prepared. The world needs to change its paradigm from this reactive to a more proactive issue. We need to be prepared for the next drought.
This comes as the 27th United Nations Climate Change Conference continues in Egypt. Over the coming days, officials will discuss plans to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in an effort to curb the deadly effects of climate change.
Still ahead, health care and abortion access are proving to be top concerns for many voters. As abortion clinics in states surrounding those where the procedure is banned continue being inundated with women seeking treatment. A look at how the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade is overwhelming clinics. The results of the midterm elections could decide the future of abortion access right here in the U.S. Ted Linder takes a look at how the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade is inundating clinics in states where the procedure is still legal, plus the health and safety risk abortion bans are posing on patients seeking the treatment.
Healthcare and access to abortion continues dominating the minds of many voters heading into the midterm elections.
If you don't vote, if you don't do the right thing, you can't complain.
Most abortions are now banned in more than a dozen states. And according to a recent study published in the journal JAMA, 1 in 3 women now live more than an hour away from an abortion clinic since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade back in June.
There's a perception that if you are seeking care, you can find it somewhere, and that's not true. There are people who are going without care because they cannot get in, or they can't get in on time, or they can't figure out the travel.
Doctors warn delaying abortions can cause severe health complications for some patients. Adding, states outlawing the procedure are only forcing women living there to find help across state lines.
It was just idiotic for a law to be put in place that you can't do what you feel is necessary for your body, and not even your body, but your mental health also.
Since the downfall of Roe, officials in Kansas City, Kansas say they've been inundated with women from Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas seeking treatment. Overwhelmed, doctors say they're only able to help between 10 to 15% of patients who want an abortion.
That's insane. That's a lottery. Like, to get in to get basic health care. That to me is devastating.
A study says a key ingredient used to make beer could help prevent a dreaded aging disease. A study funded by the government in Italy says hops, a flowering plant used to help beer's fruity or bittering flavor, can help prevent Alzheimer's disease. The scientists say hops has compounds that prevent harmful proteins from clumping in the brain. Research showed one particular hop used in large lagers and light ales had the most success in preventing Alzheimer's issues. The scientists were cautious to say their research doesn't encourage more beer drinking. Inflation may affect what your child gets at school lunches, according to a report. The Wall Street Journal says many school districts are raising costs for school lunch meals, and some options are now reduced. Food service managers in several states say they've had no choice but to cut back fruit and red meat while passing costs on to parents. A federal relief program that provided free lunches for all students during the pandemic expired in June. School districts say the cost of some food items like flour or corn tortillas for lunches are up 50%. A government survey on the housing market says buyers and sellers are on the same page when it comes to their thoughts on the housing market. Fannie Mae, the government-backed mortgage company, says that consumer confidence in the housing market has dropped to its lowest level ever since the survey started in 2011. 16% of buyers in October thought it was a good time to buy, and among sellers, 42% said it was a bad time to sell. The average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has now topped 7%. 29% of Americans say home affordability will affect their choices. Stay with us. We have more coming up. And of course, we want to leave you with a smile tonight. A Starbucks holiday tradition marks its 25th anniversary. The coffee chain first rolled out its holiday cups in 1997. The seasonally themed cups haven't always been mostly red. Back in 1997 and 98, they came in shades of purple. Excitement around the festive cups has been growing ever since. This year, Starbucks is releasing 4 new designs, and they are mostly red and green. I'm Harriet Wallace. Thanks for watching.